What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. This is my second YouTube video and I got a good one for you guys. So basically in this video I'm going to be installing a male hair unit. If you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, I'm sure you've seen that I've been doing a lot of these recently, and I've been doing it for about a year's time. And I basically wanted to show the process for all my barbers out there who want to add this to their arsenal, and also people who may have been contemplating getting a hair unit but don't know what the process is like or anything like that. So this video can help the regular watcher and also barbers who may want to add this service, because this service, it's not a cheap service, and it does add a lot of money to how much you can make per day as a barber. So I do recommend. It's definitely something that you got to take your time with and want to learn to be good at it. But I've been doing it for over a year, so I want to give you guys some tips how I do it. And for this unit, I'm going to be doing a synthetic hair unit, not the lace or the plastic, the PU units. So the first thing I always do with the units is I shave off the thin hairs on top. You got to shave it bald. I use my trimmers, and if their skin is insensitive enough, then you can go ahead and use like the bald shaver. But a lot of my clients are coarse hair, and I noticed that the shaver can give them irritation on the scalp, so sometimes I do avoid it. And what I'm doing right now is I'm going in with a 1.5 open, which is basically a 2, to kill the surrounding area of the hair. You want to maintain the hair on the sides and the back, and when you're shaving the top, what you want to do is you want to obviously remove all thin areas, but even the thin hairs that are on the side, or on the top of the side of the hair that's grown out on the side, you want to make sure that there's no thin hairs, so the glue can actually stick to the scalp and it's not sticking to the hairs. It's not sticking to the thin hairs on top of the scalp. It'll give your unit some more longevity. So right now you guys can see after I shave down the scalp, and I also cut the hairs down on the side with about a 2. Right now I'm just going in with your client. The consultation is super important in terms of mapping out the hairline. You want to make sure that a lot of people who are getting these units, they don't want the units to have like a U-shaped hairline. They want like a natural, full looking lineup. They're not getting the units to have a hairline that still looks like it's receding. So it's very important when you're mapping it out. I use a black, in this video I'm using a black barber pencil, but I normally use tan, so it blends in more with their skin color. Because I'm using the black, I end up fading it out with my finger and making it a little bit more faint after I put the glue on and everything. But what I like to do, first I have a barber ruler, and it has a marking so I can measure where exactly to put the corners and everything. But I always do it by 3 X's. So I put an X in the corner, in each corner, and then I put an X in the middle and kind of almost connect the dots. I've seen a method where people use their trimmer to basically create a line. They dry out the scalp using alcohol, and then they basically create an imaginary lineup. But for me, it normally works on my dark skin clients. My light to brown skin clients, it doesn't really work that well, and the skin has to be pretty dry to be able to leave a mark. So a lot of times I just do the 3X method and I connect the dots. As you guys can see, I'm mapping it out right now. And it does take time. It's going to be trial and error, so make sure you guys are patient. I do make my service 2 hours for the time frame. Normally I finish in about 1.5 hours, but I said 2 hours just in case the client's running late. This is a service that you want to be able to complete. I know it's getting sped up right now, but I'm using my mirror. You guys can't see it, but behind the camera there's a mirror, and I'm using that to check the hairline. Your mirror is going to tell you everything. So I fast forward it, and now the lineup is pretty much done. And I go ahead and clean the top of the scalp with alcohol. Now, you're going to want to inform your clients, or if you're going to get a unit done, you're going to want to wash your hair before, because you want to make sure that your scalp is clean. You're not going to be able to wash your hair for a month, so you want to make sure that your scalp is clean and you won't get any itching or irritation while you have the unit on. Right now, what I'm putting on his head is a scalp protector. The glue is not harsh, but of course, at the end of the day, it is a glue. You want to make sure that you're protecting the scalp from any scarring or any chemicals that may be in the glue. So this is just gonna add an extra layer of protection for the scalp, especially for people who have sensitive skin. Now I'm going in with the no sweat. I just do 1 to 2 coats depending on activity level for my clients. What you do is you do 1 coat, you let it dry, use the air dryer, and then you want to do another coat depending on how active the clients are, if they work, and if their job requires them to sweat a lot, like working in UPS or working in any of those type of fields. What I'm doing is going in with the glue. The glue that I use is Walker tape. And this glue, I switched from Ghost, I used to use Ghost Bond, but I switched to Walker Tape because the Walker Tape is a stronger glue and it actually comes clear. So you don't have to wait for the bold, for the Ghost Bond to actually dry and become clear because it comes white. But with this one, it is thicker, so you do have to use a thinner coat, and it does come clear already, so you really don't have to wait for it to dry. You just have to wait for it to get tacky. I used to have an issue with Ghost Bond clumping up on me, so that's why I decided to switch glues. But what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to put a tiny bit of glue on the hairline. See where you draw out the hairline, you're gonna want to put a tiny bit of glue towards the inside of the hairline. You guys can see that I end up doing that in the video. Get as close as you can to the line as possible because this is where you're gonna put the hair on the hairline. So also around the edges, one thing that I had to be careful of when I first started doing the units is to make sure to put glue on the edges of the hair, like as close to the hair as possible on the edges, because that's where it can tend to lift. Now what I'm doing is I'm going ahead and sometimes, depending on the client, I like to separate the hairline from the actual hair unit just to give the hair unit more longevity. Because a lot of times what I would have is I'd have clients tell me that the hairline would start to curl up before the unit actually came off. So like maybe 2-3 weeks in, with a lot of sweat and activity level, the hairline would start to curl up and almost start to go back a little bit. So to prevent this, if you ever have a client that tells you that this was an issue, you can separate the hairline. So the hairline piece is going to be so small that it won't curl up, and you're going to trim it so short that it won't curl up. So that's what you guys will see me doing here. And then what I go strip by strip to put the actual hair strips on behind the hairline. Now, depending on how low that the client wants the unit, you're gonna want to go ahead and stretch out the little the hair strips. Like if you have somebody who wants a really low exposed unit, then you're gonna stretch it out more. This is one thing that I learned pretty early on that would save me time, because I spent a lot of time shaving the hair down. As you're gonna see, you have to freehand shave the units. I was spending a lot of time just shaving, and that became an issue. But what I realized I could do to counter that is go ahead and stretch out the hair, not excessively where the scalp is going to be super exposed, but you're going to stretch it out so each hair track is going to cover more space, and in turn it's also going to give the unit a lower appearance. So it's going to be less shaving that I have to do. Of course, you're still going to have to shave it, but definitely not as much if you stretch it out. With this client, he wanted a dark Caesar, so I stretched it a tiny bit, but nothing too crazy. One thing that I do want you guys to be careful of is definitely making sure that the unit you place the tracks as close to each other as possible, because you don't want any gaps to be inside the hair units when you start to shave it. Now granted, when you do start shaving it, you're gonna see that the hair that's flying starts to fall and filling in the cracks. But just to prevent that, you're doing the dark Caesar, you want to make sure that you put the tracks as close together as possible. You guys see I'm going in with the towel and I'm pressing firmly on the scalp. I do this for about 2 to 3 minutes. I do it with my hands and I do it with the towel to make sure that the hair unit is like firmly pressed on the scalp. We don't have any areas that are loose. And then I go ahead and I'm gonna start freehanding the top. I'm gonna speed this part up for you guys so you guys can basically just see how I take down the unit. I'm not gonna do the whole thing. I'm just gonna do parts of it. So I'm gonna let you guys watch this real quick. Okay, now you guys can see I'm starting to line up the client. What I normally like to do is after I do some shaving, I don't like to get it all the way down to the level that I want. Shave the front and I'll shave the top down to a reasonable length, and then I'll start to line up the client. After I do line up the client, I'm checking with my mirror to make sure that everything is symmetrical, and I go in with my lineup. You want to be very careful with this, because once you go through with it, the hair is gone, and you're gonna have to take strips, reapply glue, reapply hair. You don't want to go through that. So make sure you have good lighting so you'll actually be able to see through the hair and the hairline, so you can see where you drew your mark, and it'll be easier to see the hairline that way. But I'm being super careful with the hairline. After this, now I'm just double checking in the mirror again. Your mirror is going to be your best friend doing a unit, honestly. And it's not until you actually line the client up. I need you guys to relax halfway through the hair unit itself. While doing the hair unit, we want to make sure that you're still remaining calm, because it's until pretty much the end, it's not going to look like a finished product. Like here, I'm just doing a lot of detail work, cleaning up the scalp, getting it to where I really want it to be. And how low I actually want the unit to be. But a lot of times it's not going to look like a finished product until you actually get near to the end. With the enhancements, with the units, you don't necessarily need enhancements. I go super light with the enhancements. This just makes everything look a little bit more crisp, make everything pop, and just gives an overall clean look to it. You can use enhancements on the surrounding area. So from the top of the unit connecting to the side, you may want to add some enhancements. These, you know how enhancements normally come out with clients, and this enhancement is not going to come off when using it on a unit because the hair is not being washed, the hair is not being manipulated. So you really don't have to worry about the enhancements coming out, especially if you use it on the scalp. On the hairline, it may start to wear out a little bit, but for overall, it's gonna pretty much stay strong. And as you guys can see here, the end results, the unit looks very natural. For synthetic hair unit, you wouldn't really expect a unit to look this natural. You did a low skin taper. I didn't show you guys the haircut just because, you know, I'm sure if you guys are looking into getting a unit or looking to be a barber and start doing units, I'm sure you know how to do a taper. So I skipped the haircut part, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to be doing a lot of videos on hair units. So if you're a client who wants to know how to maintain your unit, do anything with your unit, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and I'm also going to be doing a lot more tutorials for all my barbers. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys soon.